Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're going to be looking at the Iron Man 2 Stealth Armor Iron Man. Now this wasn't in the movie, but it is the Iron Man 2 batch of figures. This is the same mold as the standard Iron Man, just with a repaint. He comes with one of these blasters that's not really the best. We've seen this a few times ever since the first movie came out. Spring-loaded blaster, translucent blast. And it clips onto his wrist. So it's pretty ugly and pretty goofy. Most people probably aren't going to use those. You're just going to stick to the main figure. And this is one of my favorites. I really like this figure. He stands 6.5 inches tall, which is what you would expect. It's got a really nice paint job. Two different shades of that metallic blue. There's this darker one that's almost black, or like a graphite kind of, but it does have a shade of blue. And then there's this lighter one here, which is a lot more blue. And then there's the red throughout, and it is done really well. There's nice airbrush effect around the center to make it look like it's actually lit up and glowing. So that's just a really nice detail. The contrast and the composition of this figure is done nicely. There's nice reds throughout to tie in everywhere. Just looks really cool, I think. It's, like I said, it's one of my favorites. So that's that right there. As far as articulation goes, the head is on a bald peg with a hinge, so it's got the disc in there and it can move around. So you can get a pretty good flight pose out of him, lean him back. That's really all you need. That's a decent flight pose, I think. Then you can look down also. Not a huge amount, but more than enough. So that's pretty good. And it looks, the sculpt is really spot on for the movie. It may be a little narrow at the shoulders, like some people say, but it's not too much to be a problem. The shoulder pads are hinged. They do pop out kind of easily, but that's okay. They won't break. And then you have a ball hinge in the shoulder, bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, wrist swivel, and wrist pivot. And you can pivot the wrist up, as you saw in the beginning, to do the repulsor blast. So that's pretty cool. The other side is the exact same, except he has a fist. Does have a sort of an ab crunch. It's kind of like a diaphragm joint. The crunch doesn't go down as far as I would like, but you can pop this apart, hollow it out on the inside a little bit, and get it to go down farther if you wanted to. I didn't do that on this. And then it does, like you saw, it does go back pretty nicely and pretty seamlessly. It rotates and kind of rocks from side to side. So pretty good set of articulation for that. The hips are wide-jointed ball hinge hips, so you can get the articulation out of them, but it's not as nice because you're going to screw up the sculpt of those sculpted hips by rotating them. And it's not going to look quite as good, but it will work. There's a thigh swivel built in right there, a double-jointed knee hidden underneath the knee armor, which doesn't look that great unless you leave it connected, which is fine because you probably don't need to bend it all the way back a lot of the time. So that's pretty cool. It looks great when it's just standing there. Then the ankles have probably the worst bit of articulation out of all of them. It's pretty much the same as the old one, the old Iron Man 1 figure. It's just kind of like a peg that lets it swivel and move around a little bit, but it's pretty limited. Even though the feet are sculpted nicely, they don't have too much of a range of motion, so posing is going to be somewhat limited. So, like I said, this is one of my favorites. It looks sweet. It has great paintwork, great sculpt, and it's one of the more classic Iron Man suits. So I do definitely recommend you pick it up. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, more custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.